Welcome everyone to Rewind Recap Relive, where legends and rising stars meet. I'm your host Jonah, and we've got a few things to discuss before we head into, truthfully, I know I say this every week, but one of my favorite interviews yet on the channel, being Henry O. Godwinn, one half of the legendary Godwinns, and the Bareknuckle Berserker, Lord Crewe. We talk the Hog Pen match with Hunter Hearst Helmsley. We talk what was really in the SLOP bucket all these years. We talk yokozuna. We talk BSK altogether. We talk Bareknuckle Berserker headed right into Wrestlemania week with a jam-packed schedule. But first, we gotta go over the winner of the bad guy pin. We gotta go over some shoutouts. We gotta go over next week's giveaway, which I know you will love. We gotta talk next week's episode. Let's get right into things. I'd like to just give a really quick shout out to friends of the show, Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. They just dropped their brand new website, just launched it, and I am on it as an extended family member of Count It Out. You gotta go check it out. The link will be in the description below. You can follow this link right here as well, www.countitout7.com, and you can find their exclusive content, some great interviews they've got over on their channel. Trust me, you're gonna wanna check it out. Tell them I sent you, enjoy it. And you're gonna see actually Tyler from Count Out Mike and Tyler on an exclusive R3 interview dropping very soon with ROH's Sledge. All I'm saying on that right now, keep your eyes open for it, but let's get into the winner of the bad guy pin.
Pretty boy Valentino.
The wheel has determined another lucky soul. That is the recap roulette. That's what it's called. Pretty boy Valentino, congratulations. You are going home with the bad guy pin, the bad guy stickers. But I now need another pin. Wow, did you see that? That is the great Rattlesnake pin that you can win. Please go ahead and type hashtag R3 giveaway right down below. You see how nice this looks on my tux, so make sure you go to wrestlingpins.bigcartel.com and pick yourself up some wrestling pins of your own, some stickers, some pins, some mugs, and anything else you see on their website. It's all good stuff, and make sure upon checkout you type in RRR15 off, and you will get 15% off your next order, courtesy of Rewind Recap Relive and Wrestling Pins. Let's see what we got lined up for next week's episode. Well, next week we've got coming on the Rebel Beauty of Pro Wrestling, Nico Narciso, all the way from Italy. He's being joined by a veteran of the wrestling world, Big Con, formerly Connor with the Ascension, now the Awakening. I really can't wait for this episode. We are ready to rock and roll with that one. I hope you guys enjoy it. That is next week, and whoever wins the Rattlesnake pin, look out for your name. Recap roulette, we will determine it next week on the show. Keep your eyes open. Well, we've taken care of everything here. All that's left is for you guys to go right down below and please click that subscribe button. It helps us out so much, as well as going right over to wrestlingpins.bigcartel.com, picking up some goodies because they've got some really good wrestling merch. Typing in RRR15 off when you check out. That helps us out, also helps Wrestling Pins, and you guys get a discount 15% off. I don't know how anybody could be disappointed with that. Keep your eyes open for Nico Narciso and Big Con next week, and keep your eyes out if you won the Rattlesnake pin. Like this video, you share it around, you tell everybody you know that you're watching Henry O. Godwinn, a legend, on with Lord Crewe. So enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Our first guest has been making his name known for 6 years in the wrestling industry and has racked up various championships along the way. Please welcome the Bareknuckle Berserker, Lord Crewe.
Oh, what's going on, Jonah? Thanks for having me in, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to this one. And our next guest is a legend, having a career lasting over 20 years in pro wrestling. He's a former two-time WWF Tag Team Champion, of course, being one half of the Godwinns. Please welcome Henry O. Godwinn.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Always, always. So it's awesome having you both here. Amazing. And I want to know how you both started professional wrestling, how you got into the business. So Crewe, can you go first and tell us how your journey started?
Sure. So I think mine's a little weird. So I actually played music for several years and was kind of traveling around playing guitar in bands and stuff. And that was kind of my first taste of the road life. I had always been a fan of professional wrestling. But I guess like it was just never in my head that I myself could do it, because like growing up, I was always real tall, but I was always real skinny, and like I just didn't see myself in that. But so music had kind of ran its course. I was, like in my mid-20s. I still, like I wasn't ready to just like live the normal life yet. So right. I was at a LA Fitness one day just working out, and a couple of WWE guys came in because they were in town. And, like I said, I've always been a fan, so I recognized them, but, whatever. Well, it was Santino Marella. He came in and was walking through, and he asked me where the locker room was, because like there was like a weird hallway you had to go down, so it wasn't real obvious. So I kind of pointed him in the direction and blah, blah, blah. Well, then he comes back out, and we kind of just got to talking a little bit, and he asked me if like I wrestled, and I was like, man, it's always something I wanted to do, but I just don't really know how to get into it or anything. So he was like, well, if you're serious about that, he's like, find yourself a school, get yourself trained. And if it's something you really want to do, you should go for it. So I took that conversation super serious, and here I am. So like I got trained in Cincinnati, Ohio by Roger Ruffin at the Northern Wrestling Federation. He's trained guys like TNA Hall of Famer, the Monster Abyss, Wildcat Chris Harris, who's a multi-time NWA tag team champion, and Machine Gun Carl Anderson. So those are some of the names who have come out of the school that I attended. So.
Wow, that's such a unique journey. I haven't heard somebody have that one yet. Beating a wrestler, actually getting into it through that.
Yeah,
that's
it was
awesome.
It was a weird one, but
Henry, how about you? How'd you get into pro wrestling?
Let's see. I was living in West Virginia, farming and working at a hospital on a psych ward. So I met Italian Stallion and Gorgeous George South. And they said, well, why don't you come to this high school tonight and we'll try out. So I went, and man, the rest is history with them. I started doing TVs at WCW in Atlanta, just an extra. And then Eric Watts graduated from Louisville and come down, and I worked him at Center Stage in Atlanta one night. And that's when Dusty and Cowboy Bill Watts was running everything down there. And so I had a great match, and I drove down from West Virginia with George South and Italian Stallion. And I had that match at Center Stage with Eric. Well, I was getting paid, and I was getting ready to leave and come back to West Virginia. And Dusty said, well, we want you to go on the road with Eric this week. Damn, I don't have any clothes. I just got a few of the boys like Arn Anderson's giving me, and George South and Italian Stallion are giving me clothes to take on the road for a week, because all I had was my gear and what I had on.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we start in Texas, and I'm in the car, scared shitless.
Oh, I bet.
With Barbarians in the back with me, Hercules Hernandez is in the front seat, and Harley Race is
Jesus Christ, what a carload. I would have been scared shitless too to be in a car with Harley Race and the Barbarian. Jesus.
Yeah. I learned that week that when Harley's driving and there's a cooler in the back, when he crushes the can, that means you get one and pop it and hand to him.
Okay.
I love that.
That's awesome.
The first night he was like, kid, get me a beer. Keep it up here. Keep it coming. And he's crushing them, throwing them out the window, going down the road. So that's awesome. That's how I got my start there. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've always heard this story about Harley Race where he would do this line. He'd say, "What's your finish, kid? I'll move." It's like, I love that.
Yeah.
Henry, for you, did you was your training more, was it along the lines of on the job training, or did you go like actually train with these men at first?
I started in West Virginia at a little high school that night, and that's how I learned. I would wrestle, say no to drug shows at school. we would do 2 schools a day. So I was wrestling as myself against Italian Stallion, just Mean Mark. And then I was coming out in the last match, or the first match, being the Russian Assassin.
Nice.
So I wrestled 4 times a day for like forever, it seemed like. So, but I credit that to speeding up my learning, because I was wrestling all the time. And, you know, wrestling Italian Stallion, the old school way, it was stiff. So, you know, I learned to be stiff and not hurt nobody.
I get that a lot about my style as well. I've always been told that, you know, like I have guys come in the back and they're like, man, you're a little stiff, but you're safe. So I'm fine with it. Like, and that's how I am too. I mean, I go by the credo of I'd rather you stiff me than with me. So
because it really upsets me when somebody throws a punch and they're 6 inches from me.
Yeah. Not me.
I'd rather get a bloody lip or a busted nose and it look good.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
No, but
Hey,
so it sounds to me like
what's that? What you got there?
What I was gonna say, it sounds this. I got I went in to break up I was in a multi-man last week. I went to break up a pinfall and then the guy kicked out, and as his elbow came across, just right in the kisser. Yep. I immediately tasted blood and I was like,
Henry's got something there too. I see him trying to.
I got one of them stories. I'll show you first.
Yeah. Oh.
Doink did in California on the first night of a 4-day tour in California. I was doing the finishing move, the slop drop.
Yeah.
When we went to do it, he turned. He got 8 stitches right there, and I had my 2 front teeth knocked out. One was dangling. So I wrestled 3 more nights with a tooth dangling.
Oh, that's always been my biggest fear in wrestling, is having something happen to my teeth. And my fear came reality, like, I don't know, a month ago, I got like a chip there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I got the bottom half of my one front tooth chipped off, and I knew it immediately too. And like, I was just so bummed the rest of the match.
Right.
Like,
it's like the night I broke my neck in WWE against Hawk and Animal.
Right.
And that was rough. I landed on my head and neck, and I felt something in my mouth, felt like sand. It was pieces of teeth.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Crewe, I had a quick question for you. Is for someone who hasn't seen one of your matches, what could they expect? How would you describe your style? You said a little bit here that you're bruiser, Bareknuckle Berserker. I want to hear it though.
Yeah, so the moniker speaks for itself. I am the Bareknuckle Berserker Lord Cruz. So when you watch one of my matches, just expect a fight. I don't do anything real flashy and fancy, but I'm gonna pop you right in the mouth, and you're gonna feel it, and everyone's gonna know you felt it. So that's what you're gonna get with me. Just a bunch of strikes, couple power moves, but you ain't gonna see nothing too flashy out of me. Because I said, I'm 6'3", 200 something pounds. I don't need to be, flying through the air and none of that. I know where I get the job done, and that's right here. So
Henry, do you relate to that? Do you resonate with that style?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been wanting to do this since I was a little kid. So
yeah,
I was fortunate to be taught by somebody that was snug and it was old school. I'm still old school. I just like that, rough, tough stuff. And we didn't do a lot of high flying stuff. We did a lot of good double team things and just being rough and tough, like an old bar fight.
Yep, that's right. It. That's my style to a T. So like a gritty old bar fight. I don't know. I guess that's just how I grew up. I grew up in music venues and stuff, getting in stupid little fist fights all growing up and everything. So I guess that just kind of resonated into what I do with wrestling. So it was an easy transition.
Yeah. Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Well, Henry, starting off with a person who you just mentioned, the double team, a person who you'd know throughout really your entire career was Phineas Godwinn. I'm interested to hear when you first met him, because it was far before the actual Godwinns, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was, I'd been on the road with Eric for a week, and Barry Windham, I was, hanging out with him a little bit, and he comes back into the picture too. But anyway, he's the one that come up and said, "Hey, they want to do something with you," and I don't know if you guys know Bob Cook, but Bob Cook was going to be my partner at first, and then they put the halt on that, and then we were in Gainesville, Georgia, at a TV, and that's where me and Tech Dennis met that night, and we started. It was maybe a month or 5 weeks later, we started on the road together, and all them years we never had one crossword with each other, and all the boys and even some of the suits up there said, "God, you guys been together that long, you've never had a fight?" Because we've heard the stories about other tag teams, they hate each other and
right.
nasty boys. We've heard all that, but it was a good time for us, and it was a good learning experience. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
right. And Crewe, you were on a team for a short while, right?
Yeah, I was in a tag team with a guy named the Mercenary Anthony Bryant, and we were managed by Wildcat Chris Harris. So
Nice.
yeah,
Cool,
I mean, it was one of those things where, when I first got thrown onto the shows there, where through the promotion that I trained through, my original singles run, I had this like medieval gimmick that like I didn't really feel comfortable in, and and I think the promoter kind of caught on to that. It just wasn't me. So he put me into this little stable, and it allowed for me to really come into my character that I was actually wanting to do from the get-go. And Mercenary was such a huge help to me and Wildcat, of course, too, of learning tag team wrestling and, the psychology behind it. And then, with us constantly teaming together, we became really good friends. I ended up, I was in his wedding when he got married and stuff. So, I guess it's kind of like, Henry said, with, you spend so much time with somebody, they become like family.
And so, Crewe, you touched on something that you're nothing like your original gimmick, and I'd love to hear about that, how that transformation that you've gone through, and what we could expect from the character of Lord Crewe. How can it evolve going forward?
So, like I said, man, originally I was this medieval warrior. I wore face paint, like I wore like these lines across my face, and I wore like this whole get up, like it looked very like Game of Thrones-ish and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just didn't. That's just not me, and like once they put me in this stable, we kind of were just we were just a group of dudes who just wrecked everything in our path. So that was more me. I could talk more, I could have more of my personality in the things that I said. I wasn't speaking as some guy from the 17th century, using dated language and stuff like that. It just, none of it ever felt organic to me. So now I've I ride motorcycles, and I mean, I've been in and out of music venues, bars, tattoo parlors my entire adult life. So like that's just kind of, I'm able to now show that through my character, just an amped up version of who I really am. So to me that's what it's all about. I think with somebody who is a strong enough personality wise as I am just as an individual, if I just ramp that up a little bit more, you know what I mean? It's a story writes itself. So
Henry, for you, when you were in WCW, when did you end up getting the mask put on?
Right off the bat. It was funny because Dusty, I'd been going down there, and Tex hadn't come, or Phineas hadn't come and done TV for WCW. So that was his first visit up. He had been in Memphis. So as soon as they put us together, they put the mask on me. Dusty said, "God, you got too much of a baby face, and Tex is ugly enough. We don't need a mask." Dusty was a big part of all that, the Texan Shanghai thing. And he said, go home and watch the movie Gunfight at OK Corral. And both characters are in that movie. So that's how they come up with our gimmick. And then I was working Johnny B. Bad, and he took the mask off. And then we got let go right after that. Me and Hunter and Tex, all three got let go, and a couple other guys. And I headed up north. Harley Race and Kevin Nash put a word in for me. And 3 weeks, I had an appointment to fly up to Stamford and went in Vince's little hideaway office. JJ Dillon. And, we spent like 2 hours just bullshit and having a good time. And he goes, well, let's get down to business. He said, what'd you do, growing up? And I said, well, I worked on a psych floor. And he goes, And I said, I've been farming for a long time. He goes, what kind of animals?
There we go.
So I could almost see the light bulb go off in his head,
Yeah.
And he run with that,
Yeah.
So like you say, you feel comfortable with something you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And, I felt, put the overalls on. It was like just feeding at home like every day,
Yeah.
So it turned out good.
And Crewe, for you, I always like to hear about debuts while they're still fresh in your mind. Only 6 years ago, you had your first match. So let's talk about that first debut match for you and now how you're wrestling now. Do you wish it was different? Do you like that debut? Let's hear about that.
No, I wouldn't change my debut for the world, man, because
nice.
I trained my ass off for a little over a year before I had my first match, because my trainer is super old school and he won't put you on his shows until he feels you are absolutely ready. You know what I mean? Because he's not gonna put substandard wrestling on his program. So he finally felt that I was ready to, wrestle in front of fans, and he gave me a definitive date, like this Saturday is going to be the Saturday that you debut. So, I was telling everybody, you know what I mean? And because of, playing music and stuff over the years, and, I'm still tight with a lot of the guys that I grew up with. And so my trainer, we had our school, which was in a small, old rundown building over in downtown Cincinnati. And, he couldn't hold, I think maybe the cap he could have as far as fans was like 75 in our training building, but then he would do his bigger shows, at a larger venue. But these were kind of like the fillers to build storylines and stuff. So he debuted me at the training center, and he reached capacity because of how many people I just told about it. And everybody had been for the last year asking me, well, when are you going to have your first match? I'd love to come see it, blah, blah, blah. So a couple of my friends actually ended up getting turned away and stuff.
Wow.
And so the only thing that I wish would have maybe been a little different is if we could have, I could have debuted on the larger show just so all my friends could have been there for it. But as far as the match went, the guy who I wrestled, he made me look like $1 million, even though I was greener than goose. And, he didn't have any problem with, putting me over strong on my debut. And I still to this day thank him for that, and, making me look good when I wasn't. So, yeah. So, I loved my debut, and the only thing I think I would change is if I could have done it at the bigger show, just so I could have had
some
everyone
more people
there.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's awesome, though. That's really cool. You can reflect on that. Henry, how about you for your debut? Did you enjoy that first match that you talked about earlier?
Yeah, I did. Mine's a little different. I was on the job training. So after about 2 weeks, I had a match with Stallion. So I had to learn quick.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. I like that. And it helped me. It boosted me up to where I am now. But God, like when I went to WWE or
Yeah.
WWF at the time, Shane McMahon was doing the vignettes and he was in the video department. So he flew to Knoxville and come over to my house. I was living in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee at the time, Gatlinburg.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He come to the house and we went to this little farm and shot all my vignettes. The guy had hogs, so it was awesome. That was a good learning experience. And when I got to WWF, it was I just felt more confident and better. It was a better atmosphere to work as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I got hooked up with Taker and Paul Bear, and that's how the whole BSK started with us and me and Taker and Paul and Rikishi, Crush, Godfather, Paul Bear. So it was good, lost a lot of them guys, but Yoko, and
Of
then
course,
Dennis come up about a year after I started. He had to work some stuff out, and he come up, and then they put us together, and we took off again right where we left off.
And
awesome.
So you mentioned the vignettes, and you said when you first heard you were going to be the hog farmer, Henry O. Godwinn, but a fact I saw just when I was doing my research that interested me was the middle name of Henry O. Godwinn. It was never said on TV. Is it Orpheus? Is that correct? Is that the name? Why was it never said on TV?
They wanted my initials to be Hog.
Hog, right.
Yeah.
The name, I'm pretty sure, was either Vince's dad's middle name or Vince's granddad's name. That's where the Orpheus come from.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Pretty cool.
I didn't know that.
It's interesting to hear. Cool. Yeah, it's pure curiosity question for me when I was like, what a name. And also, because there are certain things that just made Henry Godwinn like a very memorable character. What was in that slop bucket after all these years? I got to know. What
I was going to ask that same question at some point during this. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Well, I'll clarify that for you. It was like I would make, like at TVs and pay-per-views, we always had plenty of good food. Mm-hmm. So when we ate at like 1:32, I would make my slop for that night right then.
Also, just like with the catering leftovers. Nice. All right.
Catering was awesome back then. So
hey, I've been an extra at Raw. The catering was.
Oh, have you?
Oh yeah, I was an extra at Raw. I didn't get used, but I was just there, and they just told me to eat a bunch of catering, hang out. I get paid, so all right. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go on.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I would get like lettuce and ranch and water and bread and just fix it up nice. Now I don't know if you guys heard about it got slopped.
No, I didn't hear about that.
Who got slopped?
Sonny.
Oh, you know what? I do think I heard about this actually. Didn't you leave the bucket in the locker room and then just kind of say, "This is what it is. I'm gonna walk out now. I'll be back."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I made my slop that day.
Okay.
And I went in the locker room and it was full. The boys were all in there. I said, "Now guys, Sonny's getting this tonight. Don't nobody mess with it." Yeah. And I left. It was about half full when I left. When I come back, it was about a half inch from the top. Let's see. Razor, 1, 2, 3 Kid, Doc Pritchard, they all contributed to the slop that night.
God.
So Razor is my favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's funny. I love that.
I have stories about him too.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Oh,
got a little razor right here. Why don't you tell a story? That's a razor pit if you can't see it. Big fan too. You have a razor story?
I got a Razor and Kid story.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We were in Germany and Sonny was being just hard to deal with on the road. So when we were in Germany, we had a caterers, usually two ladies that would cook all of our food. They traveled with us and they would make, steak, chicken, rice, salads, that kind of stuff. So we would eat and then they would say, place an order for you to take back after the show. So we would write what we want. We'd put our name on this white lid, and they would put your food in a tin, and you take it back to your hotel. Well, we were picking our food up, and Kid and Razor had got Sonny's pan of food, took her food out, and put a couple brown things in there, about 6 inches long.
Oh my God.
And covered it back up with her food.
Oh no.
So when she got to the hotel that night, she opened that food and that stench hit her. She ran to Briscoe's room, crying, banging on the door, telling him what happened.
Oh my
They
God.
sent her home the next day. True story.
Oh my
I believe
God,
it. That's the crazy part.
That's so great.
Good.
Oh man.
Sounds like
Goodness.
a crazy time. Henry,
Yeah.
was anybody ever, now learning what the slop was, I thought it was something maybe more a little bit theatrical maybe, but seeing as you were just making it with some food, was anybody ever unhappy to get slopped? Was everybody unhappy?
No, not really. DiBiase, he got it a lot.
Yeah.
And after the first two, I think he said, Vince, if you want me to keep getting slopped, you're going to have to buy my damn suits.
I believe it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
So
I
think
can see that. Yeah.
bought him like 2 suits.
That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
Crewe, for you, because you mentioned earlier you've been in and out of tattoo shops your whole life, and you and Henry both are pretty inked up. I'd love to hear for you, what are some meaningful pieces, and are there any wrestling pieces that you have on you?
So I do have one wrestling tattoo, and it's just so one of my best friends, who we've been friends since we were in middle school, but he's a tattoo artist now. So when he was going through his apprenticeship and was just starting to, get some pieces done, I let him tattoo me, and I told him, I was like, hey, I want a lucha mask. Just come up with something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any specific one I want you to do. Just do your own take on a luchador mask. So he drew one up, and it's like a red and yellow mask that he put on the side of my leg. So that was cool. I would say my most meaningful tattoos. I have two that are both very near and dear to me. On my right shin, there's like a big cross with crossed revolvers going on it. And it's for my father, who passed away when I was just a kid. So it's got the years of his life and the barrels of the revolvers. It's got his name through the center of the cross, and then there's some roses surrounding it. And then on my other leg, I have the Leonard Skinner song, Call Me the Breeze, just the words Call Me the Breeze tattooed on my leg. Because when I was a little kid, that was my dad's favorite band. And he used to call me Mr. Breeze when I was little. So on the 15-year anniversary of his death, I got the Call Me the Breeze tattoo. So yeah, so those are probably my my near and dear to my heart ones. So
yeah. Wow, I love that.
Yeah,
that's really nice, very meaningful.
Yeah.
And Henry, for you, I know you have tattoos yourself. Do you want to talk about some pieces that mean something to you? I know you have the BSK one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think me and him might be related. The guns and the tattoo, Leonard, and I think you might have been my son in a former life, maybe.
Hey, maybe,
Hey, I got in 2003, my youngest son got killed, and I had his portrait and some angels and a heaven rays on my chest, and says, "I'll see you again someday." That's my most important. But like my back piece I just got done, it's man, what a resurrection it is. It's a guy reaching up to the heavens, and God's reaching down, and all these demons are at the guy's feet, and it's pretty cool. But then I got the BSK right above that, so it's a full back piece. I don't know
nice.
if you guys have seen it. I'll have to send you a picture.
I said my whole front of my torso is
Yeah.
covered. Like my whole chest and stomach and everything is covered. Stomach sucks.
Yeah.
Stomach sucks.
Yeah.
But I have this really cool cattle skull like right in the center of my stomach because I had just this big empty spot. And I was like, man, I need something to fill that spot. So one of my friends at Tattoos, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to come up to your shop. I just want you to trace this area, like, and just give me something cool to fill it. So he shot me over this picture of this really sweet cattle skull that he did. And I was like, sign me up. Let's do it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Henry, so I know you and all the other members have BSK tattoos. Was that like a group tattoo session? I've never heard about that. Or was that just individual? You guys got them over the years?
That was just something I've had one on my leg for
that's the
20
one
years.
I've heard of. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just had this back piece done the end of last year, just a few months ago, and so I put the big BSK at the top of that. But everybody just pretty much, Savio was the first one to get one, and then it was like, but Rakishi's the only one that doesn't have a BSK tattoo. So we've been riding him hard on.
Does he have any tattoos? I guess not, right? Yeah.
So Taker's has the BSK pride on his stomach.
Yeah.
Tex is on his arm and neck, I think, and Papa's got his. I think it's on his back. It's pretty big. And Savio, he was the first one. So yeah, well, it was Henry, pretty cool.
For you, I want to ask, because we mentioned the Godwinns. I'm going to keep talking about them, but I want to know, do you have any advice for anyone trying to craft a character that's a bit unorthodox, like character development, like the Godwinn was, or any of the other personalities you saw when you were with the WWF? You have any advice for someone like that?
I don't know. Like he was saying, you got to feel comfortable, and sometimes it's right there in front of your face with the gimmick you should be doing, instead of listening to other people. Oh, try this, try that.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that feels comfortable to you, and it's like easy to grasp. Like the farming. Right. That was for me.
That was you.
Yeah. So I would just say, do a little research, see what you're comfortable with. Don't get too flashy. Don't get too silly, and just be yourself.
That's great. That's great. Really well said. And Crewe, for you, I want to switch gears now for you, because you're headed into WrestleMania week, which we all know is about a month away, with more steam than you've ever had before. I've heard you say that. So can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been, this last year and a few months, whatever it's been, has been the weirdest time of my entire life as far as the whole, and everything. Right. And that has hurt independent wrestling in ways that may never repair. So a lot of people, during this time have struggled to find work. But for me, it almost feels like it's been the opposite, because I never let up on the hustle. Like the world threw a curveball and I just figured out how to swing. So I stayed up on sticking to the gym and getting my body right. I've networked. I've stayed on promoters about wanting to be where, be places when, things are able to happen. And last year I was supposed to do a show in Tampa for WrestleMania weekend for a promotion called No Peace Underground. And obviously everything got canceled for that whole week, because that was like early April, right when everything really shut down. And I was like kind of bummed, because I was like, man, I was really hoping this would be my year to kind of, get some notice and, get some steam. But then No Peace reached out to me and they apologized to me, like, hey, I'm, really sorry how stuff went down. I'm like, it's not your guys' fault the world closed, you know what I mean? So it's fine. But they were like, well, we want to make it up to you. As soon as we're able to start running stuff, we want to fly you down here to Florida and, do a show for us. So I was like, cool, just let me know. So they flew me down in December I did a show for him down there, and it was really well received, like on social media and stuff. And that kind of, got my name floating around a little bit. And then they brought me back down. I did a double shot with them in ICW, No Holds Barred. Those matches also got pretty good notice. So it's been a weird thing where just a couple matches have really kind of set fire to me. And, this year has been off to a really crazy start. I went from wrestling, it was like 150 matches in 2019 to like 30 in 2020. And I think I've had like 10 this year, but these 10 matches that I've had this year, I feel like are the best that I've had of my entire run. So I feel like I finally got stuff figured out. I feel like I'm finally confident enough in my abilities to really take that next step and to, really put my foot on the gas and to take all the opportunities that I can get. And with WrestleMania weekend actually happening this year, I'm going into the weekend already with like 4 or 5 bookings. So I'm hoping
so cool to hear. Yeah.
I'm hoping that I can just go down there, do what I do and, do what I know I can do and just, show the world what I got. And then hopefully, that steam continues and just keeps getting better moving forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lord Crewe is open for bookings, right? I could feel the passion right there.
That's right.
I can't wait to see it. Definitely
I'm vaccinated, willing to travel.
Yeah.
All that. That's my bargaining chip right now,
That's
man.
so funny.
I'm vaccinated. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Henry, you have any WrestleMania week plans?
No, not unless they call me again, like it did come down Survivor.
Survivor Series, I want to talk about that. So you're just gonna sit back and watch it. That's good. Do you watch it? You watch Mania and the big ones?
Sometimes, yeah, I do. But it's changed a lot for me. It's different. And Undertaker even mentioned something that some of the guys were soft now, and I know it caused a little stir, but yeah.
Listen,
it is what
I don't disagree with that. If I'm going to be real honest here, and this might get me heat with some of the boys, and that's fine, because we are living in such a weird time right now where a lot of people, because like I'm 32 years old, I'll just throw that out. I'm 32. I grew up right on the cusp of when social media became super popular. But so like guys who are 6-7 years younger than me, they grew up in this world of Facebook and everything like that, where you're having interactions with other people through a computer screen where there's no real consequences to your actions. So you can go on there, do and say whatever you want, and you feel bulletproof. But when I was growing up, if you said something to somebody, you might have a fist fly at your mouth if you said the wrong thing. So I think there is definitely a divide where there's guys who have been through some shit and then guys who haven't. And sometimes the guys who haven't don't really know how to respond to certain situations. And it almost makes me question their, credibility in a way, if that makes sense. And I know that's going to get me heat, but that's fine.
It doesn't get heat with me.
No, but I mean, probably some guys will hear this and they'll say, hey, I mean, that's me he's talking about. So whatever.
But you're also one of them, you're in the mix of it right now.
I am in the mix of
no
it.
Better source. Better source.
But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, not everyone's cut from that cloth. But I definitely think but I am a firm believer in professional wrestling is not a cakewalk. It's not designed to be easy. Like it hurts. It sucks. There are days that I want to quit, but the reason I'm still going is because of how much I love this shit. And I don't know, like I tough it out. Like I said, I just came off of a 4-show weekend. I fought a former UFC fighter. Like last night I was in a street fight. Like I woke up at 7:30 this morning to go to my job. You know what I mean? So like I muscle through all this because I love it. But like some guys just, I don't know. I think there's this weird mentality that like, you don't have to like be tough to do it. And that's just weird to me. Like that doesn't compute with me, because I feel like you need to be in order to survive in this and in order to thrive in it. So I don't know. But
yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Henry, a question I think Crewe was going to ask, but I might step on some toes here. But I want to know about the Triple H slop match, because that's just, I want to get that out there.
Match.
The Hog
Yeah,
Pen
the
match.
Hog
yeah.
Pen match.
The Hog Pen. Can we talk about that? How that came about? How Triple H felt about that? Hunter Hearst Helmsley at the time.
I would be hurt if we didn't talk about it. So what do you want to know?
So
yeah.
How long? Because obviously those hogs were hanging out. Is you all were pretty deep in the card. It was. I mean, you're what? Where were you at on that show? Probably about halfway point, maybe. Or it was halfway to back end. Yeah, it was quite a bit of time. So those pigs were not just thrown in there right before your match; they were in there hanging out. So, so how did Triple H feel about rolling around in pig?
Well, he took to it pretty good for an old city boy, but
yeah, that's what I was saying. Because you're from West Virginia, Tennessee. I grew up in Kentucky, so you know what I mean. Like we're used to getting our hands dirty and rolling around in some mud. It ain't nothing to us, but
hell, we probably are related if you're that close.
Hey, maybe, man. There, you know what they say. West Virginia's got 30,000 people and 4 last names. So
yeah. Yeah, the Hog Pen match. Vince come up with the idea, and he just sort of threw it at me and Hunter and said, "You guys work it out." I think everybody thought it was going to be a ha-ha match because of the hog, all that stuff.
Right.
But I've never been more sore in all my life the next morning after that match. We beat the piss out of each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a bump on the concrete floor, and then I got flipped over in the hog shit. And
yeah, you took the backdrop into the pen. Yeah.
Yeah. And Hunter, he threw me into the gate and that panel gate. And then when I hit it, I guess I bent it. When I threw him into it, it sliced his back open.
Yeah, because that was the other thing.
I saw that he had a big cut. Yeah,
that's the other thing I was gonna ask, because he was gashed pretty good, and then he ended up in the pig shit. I was like, did he end up getting like any kind of infection from that or anything? Or
that's what we were concerned about, because I didn't know it. He was cut that bad, and he said he wanted me to press him and slam him in the stuff. So we did that, and we were afraid he was going to catch some freaky ass disease because
exactly.
Everything all day. But yeah, he was me and him was married together for 6 months straight, and I got to hand it to Hunter for every night taking a slop. I mean, we did the Germany tours and the England tours, and he would have to wash his gear out and every night in the hotel room and let it dry.
Yeah.
And but yeah, me and Hunter, we had a great time with that gimmick, and we had a good chemistry together. It was awesome.
I mean, at the time, with the characters that you two were running at the time, you couldn't come up with a better pairing for that type of a match, because you had the hoity-toity, blue blood Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and then you had the dirty old hog farmer, so it's just perfect, because it's two worlds
really perfect
that you know what I mean. And then the big payoff of seeing Hunter rolling around in the pig shit, and just it was the way he sold that was so good. Like,
it was great.
Yeah, that was so good.
If you notice at the end, after I slam him and exit out, he's still selling it.
He's in there swimming in it.
He takes his hands and gets handfuls and is flinging it as he takes a bump in there.
That's awesome.
I mean, people in the hair, in the face.
That's good. I didn't catch on to that, but that's really funny.
Back to the haha stuff. After we were done, I mean, we were bloody, covered in shit, I threw everything away but my boots. I still got them boots right here.
Oh yeah.
But
Do you really? That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. And
That's awesome.
we went back to the locker room. As we were going, Vince pulled us in the office and said, "Oh, damn, boys, I can't believe y'all pulled that off." He said, "That's going to be the best match of the night." And and of course that year we went, me and Hunter were up for top match at the Slammy Awards in California.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
I didn't know that.
What was awesome, Vince grabbed us and said, "I can't believe you guys pulled that off. Congratulations." And that felt so good coming from Vince.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that's like one of the best
really
like
affirming. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I even get nervous sometimes on independent level when I get thrown something that like I'm kind of like, all right, this is gonna go one of two ways. And when we get that reassurance, it's just such a breath of fresh air. Like, you did a job well done. And and I'm sure that coming from Vince is just the ultimate high, you know what I mean? Like the ultimate adrenaline rush. That like, all right, yeah, I did it. Sweet.
But me and Hunter didn't want a ha-ha match. We wanted it to mean something, and
you did. It definitely did.
It really did.
Yeah.
So it's great to watch back. Yeah.
So Vince just pulled you into the office covered in shit. Didn't even give you guys time to didn't even let you hose off first. He's like, this can't wait. We gotta talk now.
Yeah. Hunter's bleeding.
Needs stitches with packed in it.
Yeah. We were afraid he was gonna come up with something, man. But it turned out all right, and Vince was happy, and that was like a stepping stone for me and Hunter both, I think, because we just started, going up and up from there. And I think the boys respected it that we didn't have a ha-ha match. We really
for sure
put everything.
Speaking of matches like that, Crewe, I want to know, what are some matches that resonate with you that helped your career along, like that you're very proud of in your career so far?
So I would say that one in particular, I wrestled the Monster Abyss in a.
That's so cool.
So it was down at a promotion in Kentucky, and it was for their heavyweight title. And Abyss actually kind of had a hand in training me, because like I said, we came from the same school. And then as I was coming up, he would periodically pop in and run training sessions and stuff. So I was a couple years on shows at this point, and I was beating him for this heavyweight title at this promotion. And to work with a talent of that caliber, only being a couple years in, and the story we told was really good. And I'll be honest with you, I was super nervous because, like I said, not only was this a guy who is, he's, like I said, he's a TNA Hall of Famer. He's, done so much in his career. I mean, he beat Sting for the heavyweight title. I mean, the dude's done so much. And not only that, but he also had a hand in training me. So I didn't want to disappoint him in that aspect. So we had our match, and we came to the back, and man, he walks right up, gives me a big hug, and he's like, hits me on the chest. He's like, brother, that was so good. He's like, man, he's like, you've come such a long way. He's like, you really need to get out and start really getting your name out there, man. He's like, you're ready. And like, just, so I guess that to me was almost like that feeling of reassurance, and like,
of course,
that kind of, it was coming from somebody who I really respected, telling me that what I was doing the right things and that I was on the right path. That to me was kind of a pivotal moment in finding my own confidence and really feeling like I was coming into my own and stuff. So I would say that as far as matches that I'm really proud of, I would say that for that reason.
Yeah. Like getting that confirmation from somebody like that makes you feel better.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. When I first went up north, I'd seen Taker and talked to him, but we did a Monday Night Raw, and I had to work Taker that night. So once again, you guys can pull it up, check it out. This is before text come up, and me and Taker, we worked each other over pretty good. But when we got to the back, he says, "Damn, man, you got to work some more." So just that right there just made me relax.
I could not imagine hearing that from the mouth of the Undertaker. Like,
right,
because that was another. Like I said, Razor's my favorite of all time, but Taker's definitely in my Mount Rushmore. So like, growing up, Taker was always one of like. He was just such an anomaly. You know, he was that larger than life, like, and I mean, to hear that come from him would just, I wouldn't even know what to do with myself. I was just like, all right, sweet. I'm here now. I'm one of the boys. You know what I mean? That's how I would take that. Like, cool, I'm in. I'm one of the boys now. You know what I mean? Like,
that's exactly how I felt. And you know, then later on that year, I was in Survivor Series on his team when he did the Phantom Opera thing. Yeah, so it was me and Sabio and Taker and Rikishi on one team. So that was a good match. That was an important match too.
Team BSK.
Yeah. Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it?
Did you watch, Henry? Do you watch the WWE Network at all? The yokozuna thing they just came out with.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's a good one. It's really good. They touch upon some BSK stuff too, but they did a lot of that with the Undertaker stuff. But I was just wondering, since that was just released and a lot of people now are talking again about yokozuna, some stories. Do you have any yokozuna stories from your time with BSK back then, hanging out in the back?
They all run together, but
I
had some great time. You know, sometimes if we were out west, I wouldn't come home, especially if we just had a couple of days off. I've stayed at Yoko's numerous times, and God, what a great family that was. And you know, Rikishi was always around, and we were out in this is down like by Compton or something, you know, and here I am, a damn hillbilly in California.
On Crenshaw Boulevard.
Over Crenshaw. And but we're sitting in his garage, you know, drinking a beer, just it's nice out there, and all of a sudden hear these gunshots. And I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. You know, just stuff like that. And it was
you're probably sitting there like, hang on, it ain't deer season.
It ain't hunting season out here in Crenshaw.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, I got a little story about Yoko. We went to India when we did that, raising money for AIDS in India, and we did 4 days over there. All the boys got sick, but me and Yoko got in this little tiny van, and he took up one whole seat. So I sat in the front with the driver, and me and Yoko took the day and went downtown and went shopping, and we just had a good time. Yoko was a great guy, and I used to drive him around a lot because, you know, he didn't really drive that much, so I drove him around a lot. Me and him roomed together, and he snored so bad he would have to sleep sitting up, and I used to do the old, I know I could get him to stop snoring. I would knock on the headboard or the table, and he would think somebody was he'd pick up quick. So I was like, oh, here's my time. I got to get to sleep real quick.
Oh, that's funny.
That's funny.
Oh, that's great. No, he seems like, from watching that, I don't know if you've seen it either, Crewe, but I
haven't watched it yet.
It's a good one. Yeah. Seems like such a great guy. And Henry, for you, we were talking about matches that Crewe was proud of. And for you, when you guys won the tag titles, you won them twice, you and Phineas. How did that feel the first time winning those for you?
Oh my God, I'll tell you, it was in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
it was against Skip and Zip, Chris Candido, and Dr. Tom Pritchard, and Sonny was the manager. But God, when we won that night, I got a little story. I always wore the John Deere hat. I jumped up on Hillbilly's shoulders, I think. I was so excited. I threw that hat out in the audience. We were doing a signing a few months later with a guy that caught my hat, brought it to the signing that day, and I signed it. And I don't know, just little things like that.
That's amazing. No, that's so cool.
That's
yeah.
super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always love when stuff like that kind of loops back around and goes full circle, you know, like it's just something cool about it. Like it makes it feel like what you're doing like really matters to somebody, you know, like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I knew it was my hat because it had certain stains that I knew I'd put. So I know he wasn't just bringing me a John Deere hat to sign.
Right. It was did he tell you it was your hat? You probably didn't want you to take it back. Right?
Off the hat. So I signed it for him. We took a picture together. Pretty cool.
Love that. No, that's a great moment. Madison Square Garden, how could you get much better? And Crewe, I mentioned earlier, you won various titles yourself. What does that feel like for you? You want to talk about a title win of yours?
Man, it's such a cool feeling just knowing that like that responsibility is on you, that somebody is enough trust in you to put that on you. You know what I mean? And that you matter enough for that role. You know what I mean? Because every promotion has their guys, but now you're the guy. You know what I mean? So it adds like a whole nother level of responsibility and trust with the promotion that you're with. So I look at it as an honor. You know what I mean? I'm definitely not like one of those guys. I see this sometimes on the independent level, like guys will win a local yokel title and they'll go post a picture sitting on the table at Burger King or something, like they take it with them everywhere they go. I'm not that guy, but I definitely do, like, when I am a champion somewhere, I carry that with poise, and I'm proud to be their champion. And it's, like I said, it's a very unique honor that's hard to really put into words, but but yeah, it is definitely an honor, and it's a responsibility. Yeah.
If you keep thinking that way, you will do good in this business if you stay just the way you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I see it too. Yeah. Just from a fan's perspective.
Still my
son. So you're my wrestle dad now, right? So did we just make this official? You're my wrestle dad now? Okay.
I'm the witness here. Yeah. That's a family. Cool. Henry, so to wind it down now, your most recent appearance was at Survivor Series that you brought up earlier, and I'd just love to hear how that felt for you, how that was with all the boys there for Taker. What did it feel like for you? How was that?
Oh my God, it had been 20 years in the making. You know, I'd seen Rikishi, and I'd been with Godfather, and I'd been with Tex and Savio on certain, like the legend shows, the signings. We all did some of them together, but never all of us in the same room. Yeah. So when we flew down that night, they started talking this up, that this was going to be our night in the bar. And so we all went down to the bar that night, and Taker rolls in about 10:30. And the last thing I remember is falling at the hotel, going to my room. So Taker and Godfather had to put me to bed that night. I don't remember any of that. But just us being at the bar and, you know, being together and telling the old stories. I mean, you got to admit, we're a pretty diverse group. We got rednecks, Billies, African-American, Tonga.
Samoans,
Samoans. You got everybody.
Hawaiian, you know, there was
it's a very eclectic slot bucket.
Yeah. Cluster stew, but you know, we loved each other, and we still do. And you know, it was we definitely made up for 20 years. Mm-hmm. I even said in the interview, you know, I'd take a bullet for them boys, and I would, because you know, we didn't have any, you know, with the clique, everybody got along. Everybody tried to make it out like we were, you know, fighting each other. But that was just a good group of guys all the way around. But the BSK, we sort of tried to help each other, be there for each other, and give input on certain things. And, you know, we spent a lot of time together. We stayed at each other's houses. I've stayed at Taker's house. I've stayed at Sean's house. I've stayed with Kevin Nash, Yoko, Tex. I've been, we spent a lot of time together, and it's just a good brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So cool. And for someone who was there, just last thing on Survivor Series, I noticed that it was going around Kane. It came out in his gear for that. Everyone else was in street clothes. Kane was in his wrestling gear. And so I've seen places that some people thought maybe it was a rib or something on Kane from a lot of the guys there. Do you remember anything about that? Why Kane only was in his wrestling gear? Everyone else was in jeans, sweatshirts, everything.
Well, here, I don't know. I don't understand it. I just think I don't know. I think he wanted to just it to be realistic. I don't think he wanted to, you know what I'm saying? But we had nice clothes. I had snakeskin boots and jeans and a nice shirt.
And the overalls.
And then 2 hours before we go live, or maybe it was 3 hours, a couple of those suits come up and said, "Hey, Vince wants you to wear overalls." I said, "Well, we didn't bring no overalls." So here they are in Orlando, 3 hours before the show starts, trying to find me and Tex overalls.
Looking for a Tractor Supply.
So, thank God they fit pretty good. So we pulled that off.
I almost wonder if they did the Kane thing in his gear, because like when you think of anything that Taker and Kane did together, that's the Kane you think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that would be my logic behind it. So maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine seeing Kane come out there in dress slacks, because me and him flew in together, and
Oh, you did?
What he was wearing wouldn't have been Kane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. No, that makes perfect sense.
That's Mayor Glenn. That's not Kane.
That's Mayor Glenn.
That's Mayor Glenn.
Well, so we will wind it down now. Crew, for you, what can we expect for your future, long-term or short-term goals? I know you're headed straight into Mania week, but aside from that, what do you got planned?
Yeah, so right now my sights are set on Tampa for Mania weekend. Like I said, I've got Unsanctioned Pro announced already.
Nice,
That's really important to me, because they're an Ohio promotion who is giving me a pretty good push and a stage to do my thing on for a couple years now, and for them to get the opportunity to run a show down there is really cool, and I'm glad to be a part of that. I got a couple other things that I can't really talk about just yet, but
understand, yeah.
But there is some good stuff cooking, and then my I guess short-term goals is to just take the steam that I know I'm going to get, because I know I'm going to go down there and kill it. I got no other option. So I'm going to go down to Tampa Mania weekend, give it my damnedest, and just kind of ride that wave, and hopefully some of the right eyes get on me, and I can take this thing to that next step. And long-term goals, I know this is a little lofty, but I've always had the dream to wrestle in Cork and Hall in Japan. That's always been it's just been like a thing that I've set myself on. My background on my phone is Cork and Hall, so that way every day when I wake up, that's the first thing I look at, and it reminds me of where I want to be. So whenever I start not wanting to go to the gym or something like that, that's where I find my inspiration. So
that is so cool. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate
good luck on achieving that goal for sure.
Yeah.
And so, Henry, for you, can we expect any more Godwinn appearances in the near or long-term future?
Possibly. That's up to WWE.
Right.
And I've heard some stuff, so maybe, but the BSK is trying to do some stuff on our own, like some signings, and we're trying to get everybody together and maybe do something.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it. And so, Henry, last question. Do you have any advice for Crewe as he continues his career in the wrestling industry?
He sounds like he's on the right track, and he's grounded. Stay positive, stay hungry, which I think you are. It looks like you're starving. So just stay at it, stay positive. Take advice if you think it's worth taking. Depends on who it is. Mm-hmm. But you need to get my information and stay in touch with me, Crew.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that for sure.
Jonah can hook you up with it. He's got it.
I will.
Right, cool.
I'll send it right over.
Awesome. Yeah, man. That's That sounds great. And who knows, maybe one day we can do a father-son tag match or something, you know?
Yeah, that'd be the shit right there.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down. West Virginia is just a stone's throw away, man.
Yeah, so if anything's going on around here, if I got your information, I'll try to get a hold to you if you want to do shows down here or something.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm always game.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you too. No, I had a great time. This was a lot of fun. This is the type of one I'd love to do a part 2 down the road. So thank you both for coming on. Really.
No, thank you for having me. Seriously, I appreciate it so much.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Here I am again mentioning our incredible sponsors, Wrestling Pins. Now, if you heard me mention them 2 times before and you're hearing this for a 3rd time, why haven't you already ordered some pins at this point? You are an hour deep in the episode. Go on your phone, order some Wrestling Pins, and type in RRR15OFF upon checkout to get yourself 15% off. Courtesy of Rewind Recap Relive, of course, your next Wrestling Pins order. Go to this link right here or in the description box below, and I'll see you soon.
Woo, Messy Daddy, Boogie Woogie Man feel good. I tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss online. Rewind, recap, relive. Oh yeah.